Hey guys, hope everyone's having a really good day or night today. I want to make a quick video on auditing your time and how important it is to actually realize how much time you assign to different things, or how much time you're just wasting entirely, right? I've done this recently, like I've started to audit my time, and I've realized just how much time we actually do have quite a bit of time, but it's just that a lot of it ends up getting wasted. I wanted to make a quick video and just I guess provide some education around this, and yeah, hopefully you learn something cool. And yeah, let's get into it. So yeah, I guess to start off with, why is auditing your time so important? Now, the biggest thing is here that we all have the same amount of time, roughly, say 0 to 80 years old, right? We all have the same amount of time available. It's just that for a lot of people, right, they might use that time to do things that they're really passionate about, that will get them further in life, that will, innovate and create new things for the world, right? A lot of other people will spend time, you know, scrolling on their phone, eating hot dogs and pizza, and just sleeping, right? So you can see here where there's the same amount of time, right? But there's two different people, two different overall goals, and what they do, their actions, and the outcomes are just so different, right? And look, this guy might be saying he doesn't have enough time. This really successful guy also might say he doesn't really have enough time, but the value of their time and what they're doing with that time is just substantially different, right? Now, for all of us, including myself, right, we all waste time each day without realizing it. And it might be, look, we can get really picky and say, oh, you spent a minute waiting in line too long, or you spent, 5 minutes on your phone. Like you can get really micro and start assessing and breaking down all the little bits and bobs. But the big time wasters here are, for example, your phone. I'm sure if you looked at your screen time, if you're not someone who's intentionally made an effort to reduce that, will probably be quite high. Um, a lot of the time at work, right, we might say, we work 9 to 5, but really, our work could be done in 5 hours instead of 8 hours, and you're twiddling your fingers or thumbs for 3 hours. That's also a waste of time, right? So you could pick at all the little things, but the reality is a common there's a common theme between the big time wasters, things like your phone, things like wasting time at work, things like waiting in line for, like, I see some people waiting in line for 3 4 hours to try a new smoothie. It's insane. Or get the new iPhone. That's a really common one. Now, to put this into perspective, right? If you even waste 10% of your day, so let's just say 2.4 hours, 2.5 hours, right? That's 8 years of your life, assuming you live until 80, right? That's 10% of your life. Now, obviously, we're not going to include the time you're a baby and that you're just, doing your thing. But just as a rough figure, you could even bring it down to 5 or 4 years. The reality is that is a significant amount of time to be wasted, right? That is a good portion of your life. And we do it every day without realizing it. We think, oh, it's just an extra hour or 2 hours, whatever, no biggie. But if you were 80 years old and you look back on your life and you had a timesheet for everything, I think a lot of us would be absolutely shocked and disgusted at what we saw. I mean, just based off what I can see around me, where lots of people are just stuck on their phones all the time. I mean, I'm sure they're going to have that same realization. Now, if you can take that time and then put it towards things that actually, drive you in the right direction, the reality is we have that time available to us, and it's not like we can kind of save it for later. It's not like a savings account. It will run, and it will just run out eventually, and that's just how it is. So being able to put that time, instead of wasting it being wasted, put it towards things that actually are more meaningful and that go towards your goals will be really important, I think. And we'll talk about this in more detail. For now, though, what kind of things can you do to actually audit your time realistically? I'm not talking everything you do noted in a journal. I'm talking realistically. How can you audit your time? And these are things that I've done as well personally myself. So number one, it starts with awareness, right? I think a lot of things start with awareness. We get so dumbed down in the day to day that we might not realize all the things are happening around us. So if you've realized, right, once looking at your time on your phone or time at work that you're wasting a lot of your time, that's a really good thing. At least you've realized it and you're aware of the situation, right? But now it's time to take some action. Now, before you do anything, you don't need to be 100% perfect. It's actually impossible to be 100% perfect. As people, we're not very efficient, so we're not robots, we're not AI. So just know that any kind of small thing you can do. For example, if it means 20 minutes a day of extra reading or 20 minutes a day of extra time towards your business, these small improvements can save you years worth of your life, right? And by save, I mean it's contributed to something meaningful. Obviously, it's not like a savings account; you can't save years per se, but you're going to contribute it to better things. And look, a lot of people say, like a food tracking app, that you should track your time like a spreadsheet, like a timesheet. Sorry, I don't think that's personally really realistic. At least it wasn't for me. So I just started doing the big picture things. For example, looking at my phone, time at work, time sitting in bed, watching, YouTube, for example. Now, some people they like to audit or measure things in different ways. I think measuring will be really important once you've actually realized or that you're aware that you're wasting a lot of your time. If you can, measure using, say, a notebook. If you're already journaling, maybe that could make it really easy. Just implementing a time measurement schedule in there. Some people are really big on the calendar, so using a calendar to track everything, or potentially an app, right? So whatever works for you. There's lots of information out there of people trialing different things and seeing what works for them. Whatever it is, see what works, and test things. And if they do end up working, incorporate them. For me, it was the big picture things like my screen time, for example. That was able to get a lot of my time back. And yeah, like I mentioned, there's lots of content and tools out there to assist you. There are matrices, there are little schedules that people put together to kind of break up your day and make it so that you're more productive. So there's lots of different tools out there. I'm sure if you Googled, help audit my time, or even AI'd or ChatGPT'd audit my time, you'd come up with a lot of results that could assist you. Okay, cool. So yeah, some tips and tricks to help audit your time. Personally, I like to schedule time blocks. So to kind of separate the time where I have a little bit of a break and then those deep work hours in my day. I do this especially at work, right, where I'm head down for a couple of hours, headphones in, not distracted at all, and I'm really getting a lot of work done. It feels awesome. You kind of get into that flow state. Um, but time blocks work really well in this case. And and look, I mean, that works really well for me. It works really well for a lot of people. Doesn't mean you have to do it, but just something to consider. Now, again, I think having more time towards things that you enjoy should actually be exciting and shouldn't be a drain. If you feel like the save time is just going to go towards things that you don't really enjoy or that you're not driven by, that don't align with your values, you'll probably end up going back to wasting time because it's not that important to you, it's not that exciting to you. So why would you stick to it? So the reality is, find something that you're actually passionate about, that you enjoy, that you find fun, and assign your time there. And I think you'll find the results to be quite good. Um, I found now, I don't know if a lot of people do this. I don't see many people doing it anymore, but personally, I read all the time on public transport, right? I won't read too much at night. I won't read too much during the day, um, or like, when I'm doing work, but I will read on my way to work, my way from work, when I'm traveling to the shopping center on public transport. I'll read during these periods, right? And I might also read, for example, at a cafe, or if I do have some free time and there's nothing else I'd want to do. I actually ended up finishing over 20 books in 2024 because of this. So it definitely does work. Most people just kind of listen to music. I also do listen to music, but they just kind of just sit there and just, or they might scroll on reels, and they don't realize this, but in that time, that essentially just becomes, it disappears from their mind because they don't really remember much. In that time, I've been able to, complete over 20 books. So that says something about how much time we really do have. And like I said before, you don't need to be 100% perfect or productive. We're not robots, we're people. So if you're not going to be, locked in all the time, doing a bunch of work, that's totally fine. But just being aware that, you're not using your time as best as it could be spent. And then, putting in some actions and systems to kind of, make it so that you're able to, use your time better and use it for things that you actually care for and enjoy. So yeah, look, long story short, it's definitely super important to actually audit your time, or just at least be aware of how you're spending your time. Once you've done that, make sure you can put in some actions or systems to do so. For me, that might be putting in screen time on my phone. That might be not even bringing my phone with me in some cases, and instead bringing an Apple Watch. Um, Whatever works for you. There's lots of content online that can help, and a lot of people have tested things and they've reported back on the results. But yeah, there's so many things you can do. See what works for you, and yeah, give it a try. But make sure you audit your time first and actually come to a realization that you could be using your time better. All right, that's the video, guys. Hopefully, you found some value in this. And if you have any questions, let me know down below. But otherwise, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.